Okay, so thank you guys for coming today. Before we jump into the content here, I'm going to do a quick poll. How many people here are Trello users? Yeah, okay. Keep your hand up if you use it at work, so you use it with your teams to collaborate. Great, and then also keep it up if you use it for personal use as well. Yeah, very nice. Okay, very excited to see we have lots of Trello users here today. So the reason I ask is because way back in the day when Trello was conceived, it was actually conceived to compete with consumer-grade tools. So they designed it so that you would want to use Trello in your spare time. It's not to compete with work tools. It's something you use voluntarily on your own. And then what we saw was over the years, people, of course, loved it and brought it into their work. So for the last many years, we've been building more and more features and functionality for those enterprise users. And we're going to talk more today about how and why people scale with Trello Enterprise. My name is Dana Hogan. I'm the head of sales at Trello, and this is my co-presenter.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victor, product manager on Trello Enterprise team. Nice to meet you.
We talked about this theme a lot this week, work management, and all of these major shifts in remote work over the last couple years. So you've heard about this probably every day this week. What are the challenges and pressures that we are experiencing in collaborating with our teams now that we've left the office or had left the office and are collaborating remotely? I think even this event, being here in person with folks, it feels like the end of an era or the beginning of a new one. I actually worked with Victor very closely for all of last year, and him and I met an hour ago in person for the first time, and here we are on stage. So we've seen so many of our customers at Atlassian start to ask questions that we just did not hear more than 2 years ago. So customers like Space Force, which you heard about in yesterday's keynote, is a great example where they said, we're really struggling because we relied very heavily on in-person collaboration in the office, running into each other at the water cooler, going to lunches, and now we're all sitting alone at our desks at home. How do we maintain that connectivity? And how do we do it in a way that's very easy? So we don't have time to do something really formal. We need something people can pick up very quickly that's intuitive to maintain that fabric of connectivity and collaboration at work. To put a finer point on that theme, this is one of my favorite stats when we think about the consequences of that shift. So we saw a 10% increase from pre to post-COVID in employees that will leave a job because the tools they use are frustrating, which to me makes perfect sense. And being here in person with all of you makes me think about those early days when we shifted to remote work. Do you guys remember when it was going to be a few days, and then days became weeks, and then weeks became months, and it starts to settle in that your makeshift office on your dining room table actually needs to start to be more of a permanent setup. And that was a really lonely feeling, at least for me in particular. All of a sudden, you feel left out, you feel out of the loop, and you don't have that connectivity with your teammates and the work that you're doing anymore. So you need to find new ways to feel that connection. And the tools that you're using are the intermediary through which all of that meaning is happening, right? There are days when I feel like, do I have a relationship to my coworkers, or do I have a relationship with Slack and Zoom and Trello and Confluence? And so it's no surprise that because you're experiencing your work and you're experiencing those work relationships through tools all day long, when those tools are frustrating or are not effective, it contributes so significantly to burnout, frustration, stress, and then ultimately disengagement from employees and difficulty retaining talent. So what does Trello have to do with that theme? We have seen a massive amount of customers start asking us these questions that we just did not hear 2 years ago, right? Ways of working is something we say every day at this conference, and it was not a phrase we were really using even a couple years ago. So we have 80% of Fortune 500 companies using Trello. Trello is the highest CSAT score of any tool in its category, but also at Atlassian. So we think about tools that are fun and easy to use and that reduce that burnout and stress and feeling of being disconnected. Trello plays a huge role in that, and we've heard more and more Atlassian customers asking us to help with that and maintain that connectivity. Okay, so I don't know who it was that didn't raise their hand, but if there's anyone who stumbled in here and you've never heard of Trello, wanted to level set and show you what Trello is. So this is the essence of the basics of Trello. It's a Trello board. Trello is made up of lists and cards, and each of these cards has tons of rich data and links attached to it. So I love this example because this is the actual board that we use to plan coming to the conference. So a few things to point out about this example. There are upwards of a dozen people on the board representing 3 different cross-functional teams. We've got resourcing, questions, tasks, events. There are people assigned to each of those. We have due dates associated, and there's links to things like Confluence pages, registration links, FAQs, and all sorts of stuff. So I don't know if any of you feel this, but I often lose things in Slack and email, and then you sit on Zoom for hours a day. So I came back to this board over and over again because I thought, oh my gosh, where's that FAQ for the speaker protocol? Where's the registration list? And so I came to this over and over again over the last couple months and was able to very, very quickly find what it is I was looking for, as well as keep the rest of the team updated about what I was doing to contribute to us having a successful trip to Vegas. So I mentioned earlier that a lot of people brought Trello from their personal life to work over the last decade, and Victor's going to talk more about the things we're building for that enterprise audience. So in addition to that board view that you guys are all familiar with, or most of you are familiar with, we've also built things like table view, Gantt charts, calendar views, all sorts of different ways to look at that data and make it more meaningful for enterprise audiences. And of course, the best tools are the ones your team adopts organically. So we're going to talk a lot about that organic growth as well. So we're here to talk about scaling with Trello. How do people manage and grow their Trello footprint? And we see the same customer journey over and over again with that. So it's an evolution that usually starts with teams picking up a tool and testing it out. So lots of small team use, or maybe they're sharing it with the people around them. Then it grows a bit and they maybe share it with other departments, or different groups are signing up for different things. And this is the stage that I like to call the battle of the teams. We have a lot of large organizations here at the conference that are in this battle of the team stage, where they say, well, we've got this department using tool X, this one using tool Y, and they're all kind of arguing with each other about who's going to win. And you guys all have to get on my tool, or vice versa. And then toward the end of that, we see those pain points bubble up in an organization. It's too many tools to admin, it's too many tools to keep track of, there's inconsistent user experiences bouncing between those tools, lack of visibility, security concerns. And so when all of those pain points bubble up after the war of the teams, usually we see companies take an intentional look at what is our work management strategy, what tools are the best fit, and where do we really want to invest in managing these. And then ideally at the end, you have a select group of tools where you have a deeper partnership and it's intentional. So we talked a lot about this shift and external pressures of remote work, driving people to use tools like Trello, and what does that mean in an ROI for investing in work management? I had a customer joke recently, what is the ROI of hugging your mom? Does that mean you shouldn't do it? Which my 2 takeaways for that were, 1, concern for this person's mother, and number 2, it actually resonated in this shift that we've seen in the last 5 years, or that I've seen with our customers, right? Having a nice, fun tool that people genuinely enjoy using was a nice to have, right? It was fluffy, sure. But now that everyone is alone, sitting at that messy dining room table, I keep talking about my messy dining room table so you guys can envision what my home office looks like. Now that is set in permanently, this is not a nice to have anymore, right? People are leaving their jobs and voting with their feet when they get frustrated. So I wanted to give you an example of that to kind of boil it down a little more specifically. I worked with one customer very near and dear to my heart who's a global consulting firm. So they actually were a bit ahead of the curve, and they were having this conversation with us about 4 years ago. And you can imagine with a consulting firm, they've got thousands of consultants around the world. So they've got Stacy, the consultant, and Stacy said, not only am I changing projects every 6 months, I'm learning a new team, I'm learning a new customer team, I'm learning new content for this project. And then on top of that, across all these thousands of consultants like Stacy, they're downloading 2 new tools every time they're having to onboard. And so they had this outcry of frustration from their talent pool that said, I cannot get caught up with a new client, with my new team, be switching projects every 6 months, and then also be downloading and learning 2 new tools. I'm in Excel one day and Google Sheets the next day. It's a huge waste of time. And everyone here knows that consultants are not inexpensive, so this is a huge waste of time, not to mention is frustrating for their workforce, right? So to put a finer point on that, we usually see organic shadow IT adoption at the team level. You see increased awareness of multiple work management tools popping up. You have a war of the teams start to develop. Those pain points bubble up to procurement issues, inconsistent user experience, admin issues, security concerns, integration concerns, until finally it becomes overwhelming and an organization says, you know what, we need to take an intentional look at our work management strategy. We need to consolidate and simplify to something that makes sense for us, and then ideally you have a strategic vendor-partner relationship at the end of that. And for this consulting firm that we worked for, the reason that it's one of my favorite stories is when we started this conversation 4 years ago, they thought the addressable audience for this problem was 4,000 consultants. So that's what we'd planned with them. And then at the end, fast forward to today, they have 30,000 people that have adopted the tool and 2 new departments in HR and finance that were completely unexpected organic growth. Because as soon as they brought something that was easy to use and flexible and supported it officially, it spread like wildfire and people started copying each other. And there's nothing more meaningful to me than seeing users, adopt the tool organically and continue to use it in a meaningful way. And everyone here is probably aware you can pick the best tool in the world on paper, you can do this really structured evaluation, but at the end of the day, if no one uses it, it's a failure, right? It's garbage in, garbage out. So we talked about work management. Why are people talking about it? What does that mean for Trello? What are some examples of that customer journey? And I'm going to hand it off to Victor to talk about what we're building to make that experience even better.
Thank you, Dana. There is a moment in this journey which Dana was talking about where IT teams start to discover some first signs that there really could be a significant proliferation of free Trello use already without much IT control already in their organization. So when these teams turn to Trello Enterprise as a possible solution to organize this, there are usually 3 big shifts they're looking for. Visibility, so they want to full accounting of Trello users in the organization, shadow IT or not. Tighter control, removing all the silos of independent spending by small teams in the organization and establishing a centralized process. And security, making sure that existing and future use of Trello in the company really stands up to companies' compliance standards. If we imagine a hypothetical IT team, which just starts to discover first signs that there's a lot of Trello users really in their organization. So what kind of visibility they have into this? So they surely know their own workspace, where their work happens, they know this. Maybe through some just word of mouth, they have heard about some other workspace in the organization, let's say marketing team is using. But that's about it, and that remains a mystery for now, and could take some significant effort to audit and uncover. So the first significant shift, which really happens with adoption and even evaluation of Trello Enterprise, is surfacing full picture of Trello use across the organization. Who these existing users are, how they organize in Trello, how actively they are relying on this product. This information helps this IT team to inform their decision how they move forward with possible centralization of Trello as a recommended and secure work management tool. What it translates to in Trello Enterprise Admin Dashboard, the central place where admins do their work, is, as anyone would imagine, well, this is a place where a list of your licensed users exist, those added to Enterprise Plan. But it doesn't stop there. As other Atlassian products, Trello is no exception and uses domain verification process to identify the boundaries of organization. So from this process, IT team gets quick access to free managed accounts, those users on the company-claimed email domain, but also who use free Trello to get their work done. That's your shadow IT, uncovered in one place. Also board guests. Trello is a collaborative product. Many times your users will invite a coworker or an external contractor to specific board, not maybe just the workspace, for some short-term project they're working on. That's who we call board guests, and IT team have the same level of visibility and control over these people as well. Enterprise visibility is a big focus for us and for Trello Enterprise customers. So I would like to highlight a new admin capability we have just released, Organization Insights. If some of you managed Jira Cloud or Confluence Cloud with Atlassian Access, you may be already familiar with it. Now it has full Trello representation and gives the IT team a drill down how actively Trello is used in the organization over time. 2 years of historic data is available for retrospective, and also a breakdown of all Trello pricing plans which may be in use in the company. Organization Insights is a part of Atlassian Access, also a part of free trial, so anyone in the audience who wants to see this information for their own company can do this relatively easily and at no cost. When it comes to centralized spending and tighter control, so now our hypothetical IT team is managing two worlds. There are enterprise licensed workspaces, and there could be also some remaining free workspaces as well. Enterprise workspaces are those where admins can apply security policies and unlock all of the Trello advanced features for those users. Free workspaces is where people can still continue getting their work done, though with some basic features only and without any admin oversight. Trello Enterprise customers approach this differently. So some companies really strive to make sure that all of the users, active users, are licensed and placed into the secure workspaces. Some others see this also as a way of flexible managing costs for work management tool, which works too. In either case, it is easy for IT team for a given user to identify which of the two types they're part of, and if necessary, to elevate a free workspace to a secure enterprise plan. License provisioning in general can be a challenge at scale, and this is another focus of our improvements to Trello Enterprise. I'm happy to announce for the first time that bulk admin actions will be coming soon in Trello Enterprise dashboard. So for example, an admin would be able to grab a group of workspaces or a number of individual users and quickly provision them in one simple step. This is already possible through Trello APIs, but this upcoming change will make it even easier for IT teams. As we said before, there could be a mix of licensed enterprise users and just free Trello users in the organization. So when making a decision of adding an additional batch, licensing an additional group of people, it is always a helpful context to know how heavily they rely on the product already, even on the free plan. So another thing coming soon to support that is improved active use filtering, so that our admins can quickly select, say, only those workspaces which were active, say, in the last 90 days, and only license these. Lastly, another thing in the works, automatic license provisioning. In larger organizations, new users sign up for Trello every day, either on their own or being invited by their peers. And to avoid overhead for IT teams, to monitor and provision these users, so we will be adding tools to automatically grant a license seat to eligible employees. Finally, the third and probably most important shift which is happening with the Trello Enterprise plan adoption, security. Trello Enterprise comes with Atlassian Access, our org-wide security subscription, included for free. Atlassian Access, among other things, powers SSO authentication for Trello and other Atlassian products in the company, and includes a variety of integrations with most popular identity providers. Trello Enterprise also unlocks security policies, tools which IT teams need to define how Trello can or cannot be used in the organization. So to give you an example, can a user create a public board and share it outside of the company, outside of the enterprise? Probably not a good idea. Can be restricted and prevented with Trello Enterprise. Can users invite external people, or should they be only able to collaborate with their coworkers? Or maybe some limited list of approved external domains can be restricted and managed. Which apps, Trello Power Apps, can be added to their boards? Can be managed by the enterprise approved list? Can the user delete boards? What types of attachments are permitted? All of these aspects and many other can be governed with Trello Enterprise plan. So to summarize briefly, for an organization which really starts to discover some early organic team-driven growth and starts looking into the increased level of visibility, control, security, Trello Enterprise is a really great tool to achieve all of this. Dana, back to you.
Thank you. Okay, so we talked about why people care about work management. We talked about what does that customer journey look like. We looked at some examples. Victor told you what we have today and what we're building tomorrow to make that admin experience even better at scale. So I wanted to conclude on a note of where does Trello fit in the Atlassian story and in the Atlassian ecosystem. We have a lot of people here who are very embedded in the Atlassian universe. And a lot of these concepts are a bit new this week. So we have Agile and DevOps, ITSM, and then this third category of work management, which you've heard a lot about this week and is new. And Trello fits in that work management category alongside other tools like Jira Work Management, Confluence, and things like Atlas, which you saw in yesterday's keynote. So Trello is very much a part of this third new category, and there's a lot of exciting things that hopefully you've seen some of and you'll see more of around connecting those tools, right? How do I leverage all the people on Confluence today or using Jira today to connect and extend that work into other tools like Trello? So we want Trello to be an extensive and seamless part of the other Atlassian tool universe that you have in your teams. So, wanted to end on a note of reflection. We talked about this journey and some of these themes, but where are you and your team in that journey? Are you all the way at the beginning where you're still trying out tools and you're not sure what's the best fit and maybe things aren't sticking yet? Are you in the middle where you're in a battle of the teams and you're trying to get folks on your tool or vice versa? Or are you toward the end where you know exactly what tools you want to use, you've had a very intentional work management discussion, and now you're focused on increasing efficiency at that admin level and building a more strategic relationship. So thank you guys so much for learning more with us today. Thank you.